if I can describe my gaming experience in 2024, I would definitely say it was pretty much non-existent. And that's a first because usually I'm always playing the latest and greatest games, and I was always like up to date on every single game, and at least had played it to completion and figured it out and whatnot. And you know, for the first time in my whole life, there was just so many games where I had just dropped or purchased it and never played it, or was interesting in at one moment and then never bought it or never played it. And it really was disheartening for me because I grew up with video games. I've been playing video games shit since I guess I was like 7 years old, maybe six, seven. I remember my first ever console I remember playing was the Sega Genesis. Like, I remember playing so much hours of a bunch of different games on that. In particular, Streets of Rage was my shit. Golden Axe, so much great game. If my younger self would have seen the games that's coming out now, I think he would lose his fucking mind. I think he would blow up into confetti. Or shit bricks. Like, literally be on the fucking floor having an asthma attack of how fucking awesome gaming has gotten. But 2024 was just a very lackluster video game experience for me. And it made me ask the question, have I outgrown video games? And I was really pondering that. And what was the reasons why I wasn't playing a lot of video games? So for this video, I'm really just wanted to not only recap 2024, but also kind of definitively ask the question, have Mr. Degenerate outgrown video games? And I think to start that off, you gotta look at some of the things I was probably doing this year. Most importantly, the most important thing I was doing this year was traveling. In 2024, I traveled a lot. And it was kind of a rare thing because usually I don't really travel. Like, I'll like go places here and there with family and whatnot, and mostly go back to my hometown, Barbados. But I really haven't been traveling international to other places. And in 2024, I traveled so much. And again, I have a vlog that you can go check out if you want to know all my experience of traveling. But I've been to so many beautiful places and got to see different cultures, interact and whatnot, and really have different viewpoints than us Americans, that I was like really thrown back and really like awe-inspired in a lot of ways. It opened my eyes to a lot of things to the point where I wasn't on my trips. I wasn't really missing any games. Like, it was great to just flow back and just like not worry about what the fuck is going on Twitter in terms of video game, or just in general, like not really focusing on a lot of people. So it was very different. But then I think another reason I was just not really interested in playing video games that much was the simple fact that I had really more of like an inconsistency feeling with a lot of games. Like, there would be games that I'm just like yeah, like I'm so excited, and then I get it and I'm just like, okay, this was cool for like a good 2 to 3 hours, time to move on. And the two games I felt that way about was really Astrobot and, surprisingly, Dragon's Dogma 2. These were games I was looking forward to. It's particularly Dragon's Dogma 2. I was so looking forward to Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, you literally had the creator of, or the team behind Devil May Cry coming back and finally getting to make a sequel to Dragon's Dogma. And I was excited about that. But then word of mouth was just like, oh, it's just Dragon's Dogma 1.5. And I'm like, And then like the PC port was a kind of a mess, which is shocking from a Capcom perspective because they're usually PC ports, for the most part, usually run well. And so it was just disheartening, and I was like, all right, I'll wait until a patch comes to fix the game. Patch took way too fucking long to fix areas of the game, which was baffling, but whatever. And then Astrobot, a game that I recognize, like, wow, like, let me go support this game because I want this game to make a statement to PlayStation that you should focus more on, you know, these fun little itty bitty titles that are not these big story driven narrative games, but are really fun in their own creativity. And I really enjoyed that this game was a real, like, hallmark for PlayStation and showing people, like, hey, PlayStation can do great platforming, and also they could do, like, video games. They've been doing it with Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man. Like, those are games that's, like, very gamey. And even though, like, Astrobot, like, won Game of the Year and whatnot, and I was very happy when it won, I was ultimately like, wow, I only put like 3 hours into this game, and I see the appeal, but I have no interest in going back to that. And I was just feeling that way with so many games, and I was like, maybe I'm just burnt out, maybe I'm just tired, but, you know, maybe there's a part of me that wanted to go back to those games that I was just like buying and just was not seeing through or whatnot. You know, maybe I want to play them again, but then I'm just like, now we got newer games coming out this year. I'm like, do I even want to go back to my backlog and play some of these games? And, you know, it was just really like disheartening. And it also didn't help this year that we had the worst layoffs I've ever seen in video game history. Like, I'm talking about, like, you thought 2023 was bad, you ain't seen shit yet. All right, if you thought 2023 had some executions, like shotgun in the face execution style, 2024 was literally lining them up, and it's like slaughtering a bunch of companies just slaughtering companies, people letting go people. And it was just like so disheartening because you would be supporting these fucking games, and your reward for supporting these great titles was that you were getting punished. And, you know, look at, you know, EA, you know, they let go a bunch of people, and they let go a few people from Respawn. And that was like really disheartening because Respawn is like a fantastic studio. You know, they made, you know, Titanfall, and then of course the Jedi Fallen Order series, and those games are fucking amazing. And to hear that they were working on like another Star Wars game that was supposed to be more Mandalorian based, it's disheartening that game got canceled. So even when you're supporting these big, large titles, you know, it was really disheartening to see like people got let go, you know. Then you had like fucking layoffs with fucking Ubisoft, or complete misfires with Ubisoft going all over the place in terms of like fails after fails. You know, I said it before in my video with Assassin's Creed Shadow, is that, you know, Ubisoft is really in a really dark place. They shut down a bunch of their games, and they are like relocating people to different parts of their company. But Ubisoft not doing good. Like Skull and Bones was a huge massive fail, and they said that was a quadruple A fucking game, whatever the fuck that means. And that was a big flop. And you was just seeing that with so many, like fucking PlayStation with Firewatch getting that company shut down, even though, you know, that game is like that they worked on Concord was questionable, which I'll get into later. But, you know, just generally speaking, like there was a lot of layoffs and a lot of just bullshit. And, you know, I think the two ones that hurt me was the Prince of Persia Lost Crown team, and this one really hurt. Tango Gameworks getting shut down by Microsoft. Like, that fucking hurt. Like, those were like shotguns to the fucking kneecap, and just watching you bleed out. Because here you had like two incredible games that I actually played and really played through and beat. And I was like, this is fucking awesome, especially Prince of Persia: The Last Crown. Like, that game came out amazingly early in 2024. It was like a throwback to the first ever Prince of Persia being like a 2D side scroller game, and it was fucking like modernized for new people, and it was so cool. It won best accessibility option at the Game Awards this year. And I was just so happy. I was like, wow, this game is like fucking amazing. It's over the top. It's very flashy. I'm like, this is a cool ass Prince of Persia game. And we haven't had the Prince of Persia franchise be really recognized in so long. So to see it be treated with this type of love and dignity was so fucking awesome. And then it didn't sell well because no one knew the fucking game was out. And also it was locked, if you're a PC owner, it was locked behind I believe Uplay or the Ubisoft storefront, which fucking sucks. And you had to wait like all the way till the summer for it to come to the fucking Steam and the Epic Game Store. It was like, come on, man, like this shit is like not good. This is like not cool, and Ubisoft is just tanking fucking series after series. X Defiance is getting shut down. Bunch of their games are flopping and failing. We don't even know what's gonna happen, if we're even gonna get that Splinter Cell remake or the I think the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Nothing is going right in that company, and it's very disheartening. But I think, again, the biggest one that hurt me the most was hearing Tango Games got shut down. That fucking hurt. And you had like Sarah Bond, the head of Xbox, fucking like almost like she got tear gassed by, and was like stuttering and shit. And it was like she didn't even have a good explanation of why that company got shut down. Like, I could probably understand, fucking, the Redfall developers. Like, I could probably understand those guys getting shut down because Redfall was a huge flop. Same thing goes for Concord. I can understand those companies getting sort of shut down. But laying off Tango Games, the guys that literally was giving you a fucking banger game like Hi-Fi Rush, was so disheartening. It was like, whoa, even when you're supporting these games, even when you're running out and you're telling people, go purchase this game, go buy this game, go get this game, it's so discouraging, bro, because these guys got shut down, and it was so hard, bro. It was so rough. And I worry about the future of gaming, because if this is gonna get more shutdowns, what is to say we won't have even more layoffs and more like people not making sequels to fan favorites or even like new IPs. I feel like this discouraged people from trying new IPs. And I think another one that hurt was saying goodbye to Game Informer. Like, I don't know if anybody remembers Game Informer. Like, Game Informer was the shit. I remember I had like a description service for Game Informer, and that's how I got like so many like awesome news. Like, I love the covers of Game Informer covers, but just to hear like they got shut down because, again, like people's moving more to digital than actual like paper media. And just to hear like they couldn't even you can't even go and read the old issues of Game Informer for some odd reason. It's just so disheartening. There was a great video by my boy Black Hokage, and I love that he shouted me out in that video because he was talking about a great moments of Game Informer, and he shouted me out because I talked about like my favorite Game Informer magazine was the issue where they was doing Insomniac Spider-Man 1, and that was a game that I was really I wasn't looking forward to, and I was kind of worried because you always have these comic book video game motherfuckers coming out and shit, and you're always kind of like, you don't know. But to hear Brian Izuhara and the team over at Insomniac talk about Spider-Man, like these motherfuckers were talking about Spider-Man like they read the fucking Bible, all right? And they were like the prophets. Like you could tell in each and every time you read the Game Informer magazine, you could feel the passion and love for Spider-Man, and it was like so heartwarming. And that's why I was like, all right, maybe these guys got it. And then I played the game, and it's like fucking everything I wanted in a Spider-Man game. It almost felt like the Arkham of Spider-Man, like truly a love letter to Spider-Man in every form or fashion. And to know that we're not gonna have Game Informer anymore really is just like disheartening. But it's not only just like really bad layoffs, it's also like social media as well. It's so disheartening to actually have genuine conversations when it came on to video games in 2024, because back in the day, for me the biggest like social media arguments were always about like which console is better, PlayStation, Nintendo, or Microsoft. And that's the only thing you had to worry about, like, is which one of your plastic toys is better than your last plastic toy. And I just miss those days, because nowadays it seems like all people want to care about is this culture war conversation that is just fucking awful. It is so fucking stupid to have general conversations about video games now, because it devolves into really having a conversation about like DUI and what is woke. I've seen so much people say woke shit, woke this, woke that I have genuinely lost the fucking meaning of woke. Like, I don't even know what the fuck that means anymore. Like, what the fuck is a woke? Like, so many people just throws that word around, and I've seen like content creators that I was admired at one point just fall into this like culture war bullshit, proving that we need sexy ladies in our game, and focusing on so many shit that I don't ever hear these motherfuckers talk about what is their favorite video game of all time, or what type of game are they playing right now, or this is the reason why I love this video game because of X, Y, and Z. It's no ways just the talk of politics, DUI, and woke shit. And it's like, bro, it is so discouraging. I think one game in particular that really made me kind of like, yeah, like I can't have a genuine conversation about this game was Stellar Blade. Like, I made a video on Stellar Blade and it did bad. I fully admit I've seen the dislike for it. It's been pretty hit hard. But at least there were some people actually defending that game that was generally defending it because they really liked the gameplay. But majority of the fucking people that I was having conversations about with that game didn't care to actually engage with that game. Up to this day, I have not heard anybody explain what makes Stellar Blade such an awesome game, other than Eve looks fucking sexy. Like, you can dress up in skimpy outfits. And in that video I said, and I still stand by it, that sex appeal will only go but so far. At the core of any video game is his fucking gameplay. Regardless of how you feel about the look of a character or whatever, the gameplay is the most important thing. And I just felt like, based off of the demo I played, Stellar Blade didn't sell me on itself, and I was very brutally honest on that video, and some people really did not like it, but again, I don't give a fuck, and I was very honest. Even on Twitter, I said like, hey, I am looking forward to the PC port to see and give it a very fair shot, because they did announce a PC port a few months after the game was released, and there are people that enjoy it, but I never hear anybody talk about it. I never hear anybody talk about the story. I never hear anybody talk about like what makes Eve a fascinating character other than her sex appeal. And that is the type of dialogue shit that I be talking about. It's like no real engagement, no real thought is really put into anything. That's not to say like there aren't YouTubers that have general conversations. Like I love watching Mike Hollow. Like shout outs to Mike. He'd be talking about tech and shit. You know, that was a YouTuber I recently started getting involved with his videos, and the way how he talks and the way how he conveys a lot of his discussions of fighting games is fucking awesome. Like I love it. This is the shit I live for. But it's just like general conversations I noticed on Twitter has just been really just shite. But then, there was also a lot of other dumb shit that happened in 2024 that I was just kind of like laughing, or just like really bad decisions, like PlayStation, like with Concord and the fucking and the fucking PC PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Network account you needed to order to play PC games. So to first start off with Concord, that was just that was the biggest flop of PlayStation history. Like, oh my goodness, like I was dying laughing at how much they really thought this game was going to like succeed with a fucking franchise that is a new IP, and also in a saturated market where there's tons of like hero shooters around, and you're asking to pay like full price to play this game. It's like, yeah, you out of your fucking mind, PlayStation. And for them to really hear the behind the scenes of them spending like 200 million or more on this game, it was just like really just bizarre shit hearing this. But then the PC whole debacle, like with Helldivers 2, a game that it hit with a lot of people. A lot of people was like really talking about how Helldivers 2 was fucking awesome, and then PlayStation, out of all smartness, came out of nowhere with a shotgun and again blew off everybody's fucking leg by saying, hey, like, you gotta now have a PlayStation account in order to play this game, which locked it off of certain regions. It was like, what the fuck are you doing, PlayStation? PlayStation was just wilding last year. I don't even know how anybody could say PlayStation had a great year, other than, hey, at least they won Game of the Year. I'm like, but that doesn't take away all the other dumb shit that they did in 2024. But it was just really wonkers. It was just like, then we get into like Warner Brothers like kind of like killed Rocksteady Studio with the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Oh my god, another live service game that was just like, wow, like how did we fall so bad? Like this is the team that gave us one of, if not the best comic book video game of all time, which is the Arkham series. And just to see them not only shit on the legacy of the Arkham games, but just make something that just didn't scream Rocksteady or a good follow-up to, the critically acclaimed fucking the Arkham franchise is really disheartening. And I'm so happy now that they're kind of like, they're done with that game, because it just did not feel like Rocksteady at all. It got to the point where they were literally giving that game out for free, and like constantly giving that game out for dirt cheap. Like, I remember one time I saw that shit for like $4, the deluxe edition for like $4. I was like, what? It was just like so ridiculous seeing the downfall of Rocksteady. It was like so hard for me as a gamer. Then you had like Microsoft fucking lying to their fan base. Like you had Microsoft literally saying to the fan base, like yeah, no, we're still gonna be playing, and you'll still be focusing on first party games on Xbox, only to then go back on that and be like, yeah, well, yeah, the games are now coming to PlayStation as well later on. And it's like, huh? And it really been pushing this narrative that I've been saying that they're gonna do, but it was just like so disheartening to see that they're really doing this, which has become more of a third-party company than rather than a first-party company. And it was like, that is so weird. You know, that's so weird. And I can just imagine how Microsoft fans are feeling. Like just seeing that. Like, you were promised first-party games exclusive to yours, and it's like you've been constantly lied to. And it's like, again, like the only thing that's really keeping the Xbox afloat is the Game Pass. But just to see that, it was just like kind of like really just like, okay, really dumb. But then, you know, Capcom was also not innocent. Like the whole fucking Dragon's Dogma debacle. Like that shit with the DLC, which once again, Capcom is horrible at DLCs. Like, I hate how they handle DLCs, especially for the PC audience. I hate how they handle it. So to see like people was upset about that was like really disappointing. And I was like, bro, like they really almost tarnish a really good game with Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, bro, what the fuck? And then again, Capcom again with the fucking oh my god, Capcom with the fucking just the way how they've handled the DRM situation. And up to this day, I still stand by, like, be warned about that DRM. But there was a lot of misinformation being flown around. But be warned about that DRM when we get the new engine for their games. And it was just like, bro, come on, Capcom, let's do better, man. So I think that's really all the stuff that really led to me like not really getting into video games this year. But then when I look back at the good moments in gaming and like things that really were fucking awesome for me, you know, like I was just thinking back and I was like, you know what, I did have like really good gaming moments, you know. When we speak about fucking Kraken Studios saving Tango Gameworks was such a fucking win. Like, to see that these guys came out of nowhere and was like, hey, we're gonna make sure that you guys are okay, and was able to get that most, if not all, the developers from Tango Gameworks when Microsoft let them go for some dumb reason was such a hit home run. Like, I wanted to fucking cheer. Like, the only reason I missed that announcement was because like I generally was like busy traveling, but that was like a big announcement for me personally. Ubisoft saying games day one will now come to Steam day one, so Assassin's Creed Shadows coming day one, and delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows was a huge plus for me, like, because again, I made a video on it and that game was rough. It looked very rough, but man, like now I'm seeing like clips of the game, and it's like really, really looking polished. It's looking way better. I was like, yes, like this is what you do when you delay a game. And now they removed the different season passes and shit that was like almost like $200 and some change. Like, very good decision making on Ubisoft, man. And then, you know, we get to some announcements, you know. I gotta say, like, see Soul Reaper come back, and I was watching the documentary of how they made Soul Reaper HD collection and remaster was so awesome, because they not even just went and say, we're gonna take the game and give it a visual overhaul and whatnot. They literally said, hey, remember those levels that were like lost and whatnot? Yeah, we're gonna take those shits and they're gonna be playable sections. And we also gave it the HD treatment by up resing the resolution on them and shit. It's like, You didn't even have to do that. And then they have like audio tapes of like the old, like the voice actors doing their sessions and shit. I was like, this is what a remake, a remastered should be. And I was very happy about that. And then the little things, like just seeing like the original Resident Evil games finally being available in some form or fashion on PC through GOG was awesome. Like that announcement was fucking awesome. And the cool part is all the mods that you've been using all this time can now run on the official release version. The only thing we need now is like that to come to consoles, and we're cooking with gas, man. We're cooking. And then of course, to me, like the biggest announcement for me, the biggest like game announcement, like just generally had me like teared up, was the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Like that announcement was so fucking peak. Like to see a whole community pray, work together, and like really pushed and pushed and pushed to get a remastered of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and see it get release, free Marvel 2, and all that. See us fight for it so long to finally have that wish be granted, and not only just be granted, but fucking blow our fucking minds by just not even just saying Marvel 2's release. The whole Marvel collection is released. It's like, bro, like to see Maximilian's reaction was priceless. To see Justin Wong and him with his daughter, like seeing that whole the community just react to that shit, it brought me with tears of joy. I think even my friends, they would tell you like I was tearing up because it was just something that we fought so hard for, and that was like a big highlight. And even though I don't really play it that much, the simple fact that it is now able to be played for a newer generation and everybody to play was so fantastic. And I'm so happy that it's around and that it's kicking, and that Capcom and Marvel was able to do this collection, regardless if it needed time or whatever. The time was now, and now the possibility of a Marvel 4 is like really upon us, man. And of course, I can't forget Capcom announcing fucking Onimusha and fucking Akami 2, old IPs that I never thought we would see again, and them announcing like, hey, like this is just the beginning of our initiative of bringing back classic Capcom games to modern audience. I was like, this is fucking awesome. So, you know, Capcom was just killing it, man. And then there was just games that I played in 2024 that were fucking awesome. You know, Tekken 8, you know, regardless how we feel about the heat system and how crazy that game is in terms of like the heat, the heat system is wild, and how more anime direction the game has gone. The game plays phenomenal. The game is so much fun. Very aggressive, yeah, but so much fun. The story was actually a good story. Silly nonetheless, but it was really fun. And, you know, there's still some things that I don't like. Like, I don't really care for Season Pass 1 and the microtransactions and the whole like live service model of the game is not really appealing. But to see Tekken 8 come out swinging and strong is really good. Again, I talked about Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Lost Crown was fucking awesome, so I don't even need to go on about Lost Crown. I replayed fucking Spider-Man 2 and did a whole video about it. And even though I was more critical of that game, I do appreciate that I was going back and play that game, because it really, and I repeat, really is a fun game. Despite my issue, I was still having a ball. Like, I was still having a blast. And then for the first time ever, because of a remake of Silent Hill 2, I decided to, for the first time in my life, go back and play Silent Hill 2, the OG. And that was an amazing experience, like truly tear-jerking experience. Like I've never really teared up about a fucking horror experience. Like I've never even thought a experience can make you like feel that type of emotion. But playing that game and playing like the hearing a lot of the voice acting and whatnot was so good. So good, so good. There's some things I don't like about it, and there's some things that age poorly, which I'm glad that the remake has addressed, such as the fixed camera angles and like the enemies like being like it's so fucking wonky to fight. Like you are just stun locking them bitches, and boss battles being ridiculously stupid easy. But overall, that experience of just going through Silent Hill with James is so sweet. And that was my first time playing a Silent Hill game, and I played it on Halloween, and it was really good. And man, I can't wait to play the remake when I finally get the chance to play it, because this was a real tearjerker fucking game. Like, despite its real flaws, it is truly like a very special experience. I highly recommend people experience. And then we had Marvel Rivals. Holy shit! Like I've never been addicted to like a fucking hero shooter before, other than Overwatch, the first Overwatch. And this shit just brought me back to Overwatch. Like every single day, I was just playing that shit with my friends. Every single day, it was just so fucking addicting. Like I was just so addicted to Overwatch. I was like, fuck. And then fucking Marvel Rivals come out, and it's like doing the same exact thing, like, but just with Marvel characters. And up to this day, I still get on and play it. And even though I question like the microtransactions and how expensive some of the costumes is, I gotta say, this shit is gonna be it's gonna be something fucking special. It's already have a big player base, and people are just fucking loving it. Even Overwatch people are like, this game is fucking awesome. They just wish that like people would choose other characters other than duelist characters. But it is what it is. I'm glad that the game never forces you to play certain characters, and you'll just find your favorite just by going around and picking it. And it was just fucking awesome, bro. But I think if you had to ask me, Mr. Generate, what was the game that truly would you say is your game of the year that made me be like, you know what, gaming is not really dead. I don't think I'm done with gaming. I would have to say it would be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. For me, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is truly a game of the year for me, because it's more what I wanted from Final Fantasy Remake. And not only did they fucking meet my expectations, but in a lot of cases they were exceeding it significantly. They was always exceeding it. Every time I was like, man, I'm kind of bloated by doing this side quest, there will always be some type of dialogue or something that the original game did, and it would be like, okay, let's up the ante and let's do this shit. Let's recreate it, but we gotta up the ante with it. And they always knocked it out of the park. And I was just like, how are these fucking madmen over at Square Enix doing this shit? Like, there is just so much content in this game, and sometimes I gotta be honest, sometimes it's bloated as fuck. But the end of the game will always come in and be like, hey, we know you done this shit so much. We know you kind of like is a little exhausted, but here's a little reward, and you're always rewarded greatly for participating in anything you do in terms of like mini games or whatnot, whether it be dialogue or item you get from characters, to just come back to these characters. Like, oh my god, fucking Yuffie is so fucking awesome in this game. She is so adorable. I love her. Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, like these characters. They're a reason why these characters have lived the test of time, and why like when people think about the best Final Fantasy characters, these are like always the most popular ones, and that's because they're so well written. And even though this is a remake of the classic game, they still bring this nuance and this real togetherness, families. I guess this unlikely family aspect to the game, that you always root for them. You always are rooting for these characters, and I think even more so in the first game, it felt more of a remake that was trying to change the status quo of a remake. This one really touches upon the themes of loss way more than the first remake. It's almost like they heard a bit of the criticism that people had of the first game, where it's more of like a time traveling game, which it still kind of is, and that's kind of like the negative of the game. But fuck me, like when it touches upon that loss and you feel that shit, it's like really fucking good. Like, so like standout moments is Red 13, like seeing his father's shit, and like they even recreate the most iconic scene with the tear drop off of the father, when he's on when he's a statue, like how that's played out, revision and realize. There's certain shit that I just never thought to even think about, like how the black materia is formed in the lore. In the original, is not really that explained, but they tied it into the ancient evil dudes and whatnot. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even think of that. And I was like, man, like this game is constantly, you know, going beyond and beyond and beyond, and it's like, what the fuck? It's like, hold up. And I love, like, even though I love 16's combat way more, I love the combat of 7 Rebirth. Like, Rebirth actually did something I actually asked for a lot, which is like, hey, can we get tag mode, tag team battle, tag team fucking moves? And they are some of the coolest shit. Like seeing like Aerith and Tifa fucking, like Aerith puts up a bubble around the enemy, and Tifa goes in and she's like doing maximum spider. I was like, and then like the funniest one to me, or the cutest one to me, is fucking Aerith and Barrett puts on sunglasses, and then the way how Aerith is holding her wand is like a fucking machine gun, and they're just going ham. It's like really some awe-inspiring shit. And then like even how they recreate like iconic, again, how they're recreating iconic moments and scenes is just so impressive. I was just like, every time I was like, my god, they fucking nailed it. How are they nailing this shit? How are they doing it? And they even took like the little like romance shit from the first game and elevated in here, and it's like, oh, which one do you love? They know it. They're like, we know it. We know you have a favorite. Either you love Tifa or Aerith. Which one do you love? Which one do you love? And they elevated when you finally get to the dates, and they're so fucking awesome. I'm gushing about this game, man. I'm gushing about it because, like, the more I think about it, it's like, fuck, I was enjoying this game. Yeah, it was long. Yeah, sometimes it was dragging. But I'll tell you, man, the moment we get to the grassland, like the opening area, the first open world area, and the music comes in, a remake version of the open world music, oh my god. Oh no. Oh my god, I was tearing up. But you know what really had me tear up? You know what music soundtrack had me fucking teary-eyed? Like genuinely teary-eyed? Calm's theme. Oh my goodness. Calm City's theme. On Our Way. Oh my goodness. I remember hearing that in the original, and I was like, man, this song is so fucking good. And then here comes the remix, like Big Dick Energy was like, you want to see us do it again? You wanna fucking see us do it again? Here you fucking go. This song, from the moment I heard it, I was like, bro, I'm tearing the fuck up. They did it, man. This song is beautiful. That's the power of fucking music, bro. Like, to get you to that point of teary eyed. Like, I was like, this game. That's when I knew this game was gonna be a hit. And again, there's tons of issues I have with it. I think Zach's part of the story really did not need to be there. It's cool, but it served no purpose. I think the game could sometimes be bloated. I've said this numerous times throughout this part of the video. It can be very bloated, very, very bloated. And I would say the third act drags a lot. Like the third act, the final part, I believe, when you go to the ancient city, oh my goodness. I felt like in the original it was pretty bad too. In here it's even worse. It's longer, and it's like, bro, what the fuck, bro? It's like, bro. And the ending, I do have tons of questions. I've been watching Mugen Lord's kind of thoughts on the ending, and then I've watched Maximilian's thoughts on the ending. And it's good to see like different people like have different viewpoints of that ending, and just seeing the community talk about that was very interesting. But man, I don't know how I feel, man. I'm a little worried on how they're gonna wrap this shit up. But I gotta tell you, when they do the iconic scene, you should have seen. I had the biggest pop up. I had the biggest pop off ever, and then the most like saddest of all sadness face reactions I ever had for a video game. This is how I know I care about these characters, because I really truly felt very emotional with them. And this game is fantastic from start to finish, and I can't wait for the PC port. I'm not gonna play it because I'm gonna probably wait until the whole PC port editions come out and then replay the whole trilogy that way. But man, this was fucking awesome, and I cannot wait for the final conclusion to the story. Hopefully they wrap it up nice, but for the most part, this game was special, and for that reason it's going to be my game of the year for how special it is. Having said all of that, I guess the question I have to ask myself is, am I getting tired of video games? Well, if you just watched my game of the year segment, or if you watched the whole video, it may have came off downer, but if you watch the game of the year part, I think I finally come to the conclusion that I don't think I'm tired of video games, or that I'll stop playing video games. In fact, I'm looking forward to so many video games of 2025. However, I think for me, I've realized that video games is not the only thing that's driving me anymore. There's other stuff and other things I want to do. I am 30 now, and there's certain things I want to do. I want to travel and see the big world. There's certain places I want to go to. Friends I want to spend more time with, because I notice, when you get to 30, your friendships, will last for eternity, but everyone's doing their own little thing. And for me, those are very important to me. My friendship and traveling is very important. And, video games will always be there. I mean, when I went to Japan, like, fuck it. I was playing Tekken 7 with this old dude in an arcade. I went to this arcade and I was playing Tekken 7 with this old dude, and it was so cool to see like this old ass dude play Tekken, and he's fucking like really pulling off some combos and whipping my ass. And it was just like, man, I was just like, if he could do that shit, and I asked him if he has like a life or anything, And he's like, yeah, the wife and everything and whatnot, and he still finds time to come and play video games. And you know, if he has time to do that, there's no excuse why I can't do that. So gaming is never gonna stop, and I'm always gonna be playing video games till the day I die, until the fucking controller falls out my hand. I'm always gonna be playing video games because video games is wonderful, and I'm so proud of some of the things we've done in 2024. But now it's time for a new era, a new time period, and I can't wait for what's to come of 2025. Without further ado, I'm going to wrap this video up because I know this video is pretty long. If you're new to the channel, please comment, rate, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know what you thought of 2024. What was your favorite moment of video games of 2024? Comment below and let me know. And as always, stay tuned. More videos are on the way. It's your boy, Mrs. Degenerate, signing out. Have a good one. Oh, and before I go, I'm going to leave with one great speech of 2024. Later.